Imagine waking up one morning and your government is gone. No warning, no vote, no goodbye. Just soldiers in the streets, gunfire in the air, and silence on every channel that once carried the news. That is exactly what happened to 54 million people on February 1st, 2021. And what came after was not just a political crisis. It was not just a military takeover. What came after was a nation that refused to die quietly. This is the story of Myanmar, a country that has been burning for decades, a people who have paid for freedom with blood, tears, and everything in between. This is the Myanmar Civil War. To understand why Myanmar is at war today, you have to go back, way back, before the coup, before the protests, before the bodies in the streets. You have to go back to 1948, the year Burma, as it was then known, gained independence from British colonial rule. But independence did not bring peace. It brought chaos. The moment the British left, armed ethnic groups across the country rose up. The Karen, the Kachin, the Shan, the Mon. Each group had their own identity, their own land, their own grievances, and none of them trusted the central government in Rangoon. Burma had always been a patchwork of peoples. The British had exploited those divisions, playing ethnic groups against each other to maintain control. When they left behind a fractured nation with no real unity. And into that fracture stepped the military. In 1962, General Ne Win launched a coup and declared military rule. He called it the Burmese way to socialism. What it actually was a dictatorship dressed in ideology. He nationalized businesses, he expelled foreigners, he shut down the press, he jailed political opponents. And for the ethnic minorities living in the hills and borderlands, the military became not a protector, but an enemy. The Tatmadaw, the name for Myanmar's armed forces, began decades of brutal campaigns against ethnic communities. Villages were burned, women were assaulted, civilians were used as human shields. The Karen National Union, the Kachin Independence Army, the Arakan Army. These were not just rebel groups. These were people fighting for survival. The civil war in Myanmar did not begin in 2021. It began in 1948, and it never stopped. For a brief moment, the world thought Myanmar was turning a corner. In 2010, after nearly 50 years of direct military rule, the generals allowed elections. In 2015, Aung San Suu Kyi, the woman who had spent 15 years under house arrest for simply standing for democracy, led her party, the National League for Democracy, to a landslide victory. The world celebrated. Nobel Peace Prize winner, icon of resistance, symbol of hope. But the constitution the military had written for themselves was designed as a trap. 25% of parliamentary seats were automatically reserved for the military. Key ministries, defense, home affairs, border affairs, remained under military control. No matter how the people voted, the generals kept their grip. And then came 2017, the Rohingya Crisis. The military launched what the United Nations called a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. Over 700,000 Rohingya Muslims fled to Bangladesh in a matter of weeks. Villages were razed, thousands were killed, women and children were targeted. The world screamed in horror. And Aung San Suu Kyi, the symbol of democracy, stood before the International Court of Justice and defended the military. It broke something in the world's trust in her. But inside Myanmar, the poverty, the fear, and the ethnic complexity made the picture far more painful than any headline could capture. If this story is opening your eyes, hit that like button right now and share this video. History like this needs to be heard, and if you have not subscribed yet, do it now. We bring you stories that the world forgets, but history never will. November 2020, Myanmar held general elections. Aung San Suu Kyi's party won again by a massive margin. The military refused to accept the results. They claimed fraud. They demanded an investigation. The Election Commission rejected their claims completely. So on February 1st, 2021, at the exact hour the new parliament was set to be sworn in, the military moved. They arrested Aung San Suu Kyi. They arrested President Win Myint. They cut internet and phone lines. State television went dark. Soldiers flooded the streets of every major city. General Min Aung Hlaing declared a year-long state of emergency. That year became 2, then 3, and the country erupted. Within days, millions of people took to the streets in what became known as the civil disobedience movement. Doctors, nurses, teachers, engineers, they walked off their jobs and refused to serve the coup. The military responded with live ammunition. On March 27, 2021, Armed Forces Day, the Tatmadaw killed over 100 civilians in a single day. Children, students, ordinary people standing in the streets. And something shifted. Young people who had never held a gun in their lives fled to the jungle. They joined the ethnic armed organizations that had been fighting the military for decades. A new force was born, the People's Defense Force. Civilians turned fighters, trained in the hills, armed with whatever they could find, going up against one of Southeast Asia's most powerful military machines. By 2023, the resistance had taken significant territory. Towns fell. Military bases were overrun. The Tatmadaw responded with airstrikes on villages. Entire communities were leveled from the sky. As of 2024, over 2 million people have been internally displaced. More than 50,000 civilians have been killed or injured. Thousands remain in military prisons, subjected to torture and execution. This is not a skirmish. This is not political tension. This is a full-scale civil war. Behind every statistic is a name. A mother in Sagaing who buried her son in the backyard because the streets were too dangerous to carry him to the cemetery. A 19-year-old student from Yangon who became a soldier not because he wanted glory, but because his university was closed, his future stolen, and his friends were disappearing. A Kachin pastor who watched his church burn to the ground for the 3rd time in his lifetime. A Rohingya child growing up in a refugee camp in Bangladesh who has never seen the village her parents came from and may never will. These are the people of Myanmar. They are not statistics. They are not political talking points. They are human beings caught inside a catastrophe that the world keeps choosing to look away from. The United Nations has called the situation one of the most severe humanitarian crises in Asia. Aid organizations struggle to reach the most affected areas because the military blocks and attacks aid convoys. Hunger, disease, displacement, trauma. This is the daily reality of millions. ASEAN, the regional bloc that Myanmar belongs to, has largely failed to produce any meaningful response. China and Russia have continued supplying arms to the military junta. Western sanctions have had limited impact. The National Unity Government, the shadow government formed by elected representatives who fled the coup, continues to operate in exile and online, coordinating with resistance forces on the ground. The war shows no signs of ending, but neither does the resistance. By late 2023 and into 2024, coordinated offensives by ethnic armed alliances and the People's Defense Force dealt the Tatmadaw some of its worst losses in decades. Towns that had been under military control for years were liberated in days. The junta is under pressure unlike anything it has faced before. Whether that pressure is enough to end the war, no one can say with certainty. What is certain is this: the people of Myanmar have chosen a path, and they are not turning back. Every civil war in history has a turning point, a moment where the future is decided not by generals or diplomats, but by ordinary people who refused to accept the world they were handed. Myanmar is living inside that moment right now. The outcome is not written yet, but the courage of a people who have endured over 70 years of conflict, oppression, and broken promises, that courage is already a page in history that no army can erase. The question is not whether Myanmar will be free. The question is whether the world will be watching when it finally is. If this documentary moved you, subscribe to the Historical Ledger. Every week, we go deep into the stories that shaped our world and the ones still shaping it right now. Like, share, and leave a comment below. Tell us, what should we cover next? History is not over. It is happening right now.